Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Banana Republican. I'm James Gorey. This is my podcast. If you got here through the Epoch Times or through the bananarepublican.com, thanks. I appreciate it. Welcome to my podcast. Today, this podcast, is Obama going to jail? That's the question, right? So you may have seen it. You've had to see it. It's everywhere. President Trump put out on Truth Social a little video of Obama being arrested in the White House, putting on his knees with handcuffs and the FBI guys and all that stuff. But that was based on the fact that Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard announced Friday that they had unearthed documents, over 100 documents, detailing the Obama administration's participation in creating and concealing the Russian hoax to undercut and to delegitimize President Trump's 2016 election. So it was done after the election, but before he took power. And it was apparently there's documentation. We'll have to see it. I haven't seen it yet. There's documentation that demonstrates Obama's participation and culpability. Now, as a president, he's probably immune. I think that's probably the case. But if he participated in the cover-up after he left office, that may not be the case. Hard to know. I'll tell you what this does look like, though. It looks exactly like, it resembles the Epstein files with Attorney General Pam Bondi. Remember, I've got the binders. They're on my desk. I've given them to people. And when the binders got looked at, there was nothing in there that was really a smoking gun. And so now we're still waiting on the Epstein files and who was on it and so forth and so on. So it kind of looks like that. I hope it isn't, but it might be. I hope it isn't kind of this Epstein bait and switch kind of fake, head fake. We've got something and then it doesn't materialize, but it does dominate the news cycle for 3 or 4 days. At least it dominates half the news cycle. If you go on CNN, it's all Epstein, or MSNBC, it's all Epstein all the time. There may be a little notice of what Trump's doing with Obama, but not really. It's mainly on, especially on MSNBC. Marshall Wallace was there with a variety of journalists, investigative journalists, talking about what Trump did with Jeffrey Epstein back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s. So they're really pushing the Trump story, the Trump-Epstein connection. Interestingly, they'll mention that there is a connection between Bill Clinton and Epstein, but Bill Clinton came out, I think it was a year or two ago, said something like, "Yeah, I've been on the plane a bunch of times, but used the plane to visit places with the Clinton Foundation, to do good with the Clinton Foundation. He never went to the island." It kind of smells like, I've smoking pot, but I've never inhaled, or I didn't have sex with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky. It has that same Bill Clinton flavor to it, right? That deniable, that really weak milquetoast deniability and denial that Clinton's kind of been known for. So if you're on Epstein's plane 20 some odd times, chances are you've gone to the island. I don't think anyone's going to buy that story, but they don't have to because no one's talking about it. It's all about Trump because Trump's in power. So. But back to this, is Obama going to go to jail? Well, it remains to be seen. The biggest risk I see, as I said earlier, is if the Trump administration doesn't deliver on this, doesn't deliver the goods in terms of video, in terms of notes, in terms of meeting notes, communications, emails, directives with Comey and Comer and Brennan and whoever it might be, whoever's involved in this, because all those names are just circulating. But you and I, for the most part, don't know exactly what's going on. All we know is what we're being fed. So that was Friday. Now it's Monday. Where are the documents? Where's the smoking gun? Where is the evidence? And I don't want to be a cynic, but I don't want to be a taken for a fool either. And the fact is that it feels like we're being played just like the Epstein, okay? Just like without any production of documents. Now here's the big critique of this. The Trump administration has got to get their act together with this stuff. They're doing a lot of great things on the border, on trade, and so forth, but as far as these cases with Epstein, with Obama and others, I think Adam Schiff is now under investigation, or close to being under investigation for mortgage fraud, and some others. I think you have to have some. You can't be all hat, no cattle. You got to deliver the goods, otherwise you lose credibility very, very quickly. And that said, there has to be coordination between the FBI and Kash Patel, between Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, between Tulsi Gabbard at National Intelligence, whoever's at the CIA. I can't remember who's at the CIA at the moment. My name escapes me, but there has to be some coordination, so some message coordination. I don't know if Stephen Miller is the guy to do that, but they better find somebody and do it fast. Otherwise, it looks like you've got a bunch of you're trying to herd cats. Kash Patel saying one thing, Bondi saying another, Gabbard saying something else, and there's no cohesion. There's not a united front, and so it sows discord. It looks uncoordinated, unprofessional, and it sows doubt. And there's no reason, and it provides fodder for the other side. So the Trump administration, whether it's Stephen Miller, whoever or his chief of staff, whoever it is, they need to corral. You need to have a meeting when these things get let out. Who's saying what? We don't want Bondi saying to Patel, well, we need the FBI to release some documents, or back and forth. All that stuff needs to happen prior to any kind of public declaration, to any kind of publicity and a statement. So the Trump administration has got to get their act together. There's too much chaos, lack of coordination, and quite frankly, just it's like the boy who cried wolf too often, right? You fooled me once with Epstein, you fooled me twice with Obama, and especially with the president putting out that meme, that video, tweet, whatever, on Truth Storage, on Truth Social. When that happens and there's no delivery, there's no follow through, the administration loses all credibility, and that shouldn't be happening. So I don't want to comment any more than that, because that's all we know, unless you're on the inside, and I'd love to know. But is Obama going to jail? I would say probably not at this point. If they had something on him, then they would. Seems to me the logical thing to do is, this is what we have, make the announcement, and give us the goods. Have they done that yet? They haven't. Okay? I support the administration in most things, but you got to be able to critique and criticize where things aren't working. And things aren't working domestically on this communication front. They're just not working, and they got to stop that. They got to fix that, and fix it fast. So that's all I have to say on that today. Stay tuned. We'll look at it again soon, but I don't think we'll be seeing Obama in handcuffs anytime soon. It just puts a bad precedent for other administrations to go after their predecessor. That's another point I didn't make earlier, but it does make that precedence. But we'll see. If he did the deed, if he obstructed justice and tried to commit treason and prevent Trump from taking office, then yeah, he needs to pay the price. I don't hope it happens. Do I think it'll happen? I don't think it happens. But if he did it, he needs to pay the price, and the country needs to know about it. It needs to be crystal clear. All right, that's it. Thanks. See you next time. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.